Commanders fans, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's major updates, let me start with something we always emphasize here. This team is doing everything it can to keep improving, to build the right roster, to develop young talent, and to finish this season with pride, no matter how tough things have been. That commitment hasn't changed, and neither has ours. So if you're proud to ride with this team through every high and every low, if you believe in the long-term vision of Adam Peters and Josh Harris, and if you love getting honest, insider-style Commanders coverage, hit that like button right now because your support helps bring our community of diehard fans together every single day. All right, let's get into the news you came for. The Commanders may be in their bye week, but let's make one thing clear. The front office is not relaxing. While players take time to rest, recover, and regroup, Adam Peters and the personnel department continue the grind, working on roster construction for the stretch run of the season, 6 games that will determine the tone heading into 2026. And this week, Washington made several important moves. One young offensive player returned, one veteran defensive back was released, new opportunities opened for returning defenders, and big-picture decisions are looming over the franchise quarterback. So let's break down exactly what happened and what it means for the Commanders moving forward. Late in the week, Washington announced the following moves. Wide receiver Jacoby Jones, safety Daryl Worley. Let's start with the reunion. Jacoby Jones earned a spot on the active roster before the Week 11 showdown against the Dolphins. He stepped onto the NFL field for the first time, and he made his moment count. 1 target, 1 catch, 25 yards. Now, it wasn't a monster game, but it was important. It showed he can separate, he can execute, he can deliver when asked. After the team returned from Spain, he was waived, but when he cleared waivers, Washington immediately brought him back to the practice squad. This is a player the staff likes. This is a player Adam Peters believes still has developmental upside. And now that he's proven he can contribute in small doses, Jacoby Jones becomes a legitimate option for elevations in the remaining 6 games. 3 game day call-ups are allowed, and with injuries at wide receiver, he is absolutely in the mix. The Commanders also released veteran safety Daryl Worley from the practice squad. Worley, a former 3rd-round pick, has logged regular season snaps in every year of his NFL career, until now. He joined Washington this season, but never saw the field before the release. He last played with the Titans in 2024, and now he'll look for another opportunity somewhere else. This move signals one thing clearly. Washington is shifting focus to youth, development, and future contributors. And speaking of shifts, there's another one happening on the horizon. The Commanders have officially opened the practice windows for safety Will Harris and edge rusher Drake Jackson. Both players are now eligible to return for Washington's next matchup, a Week 14 showdown with the Denver Broncos. Let's be clear, these aren't just depth players. They're potential impact additions. Will Harris, a versatile safety who can play nickel, deep, or in the box. And after the defensive breakdowns earlier in the year, Quinn needs someone who can stabilize communication and prevent explosive plays. Drake Jackson, a long, athletic edge rusher with real upside. Washington needs juice off the edge, especially with injuries piling up. Jackson's debut is highly anticipated, and this staff wants to see what he can bring against real NFL competition. These returns align perfectly with something else that's happening under the surface. Dan Quinn made a major decision in Week 11. He took over the defensive play calling. And the result? Only 13 points allowed to the Miami Dolphins. Yes, the same Dolphins offense that has been one of the NFL's most explosive for 2 years. Even more important, fewer blown coverages, better communication, more discipline, players consistently in position, and linebackers actually making plays. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. This was Dan Quinn taking ownership. And with Harris and Jackson returning, the expectation is improvement, even if it comes late in the year. Commanders fans, let's talk about the big picture. The playoffs are gone. The record is rough. But the next 6 games matter. They matter for the locker room, for the culture, and for the long-term direction of this franchise. And here are 3 bold predictions that could reshape how fans feel heading into 2026. There's been a heated debate about whether Jaden Daniels should return this season. 3 injuries, a dislocated elbow, a sprained knee, a hamstring strain. Fans are nervous, and with good reason. But the truth is, Jaden is a competitor. Dan Quinn is a competitor. Josh Harris wants to end the season with momentum, not hesitation. Unless ownership explicitly steps in, Daniels will return once doctors clear him. He wants to show teammates, coaches, and fans that he's finishing the fight, and he wants to carry confidence, not questions, into 2026. Expect him back, expect him hungry, expect him to remind people why he won Rookie of the Year. It sounds crazy given the struggles earlier, but with Quinn calling plays, the defense has a new energy, and with reinforcements coming, a late-season surge is on the table. Look for fewer explosive plays allowed, improved linebacker performance, more pressure from the edge, and smarter situational football. If this happens, even in losses, it signals something big. The defensive rebuild is working. The final 4 games of the season, all NFC East opponents. 2 against Philly, 1 against Dallas, 1 against the Giants. And here's the bold prediction. The Commanders win 3 of those 4 games. Yes, including 1 against the Eagles. Why? Because divisional games are emotional. Because Washington always plays the East tough, and because the team wants to show the league that 2026 will be different. A strong divisional finish changes everything. Fan confidence, free agent interest, national perception, locker room belief. This is the moment where culture is built. When the Washington Commanders traded for Debo Samuel Sr. this past offseason, the vision was crystal clear. Pair him with Terry McLaurin, give Jaden Daniels 2 elite weapons, and hold nothing back in creating a playoff-ready offense built for January football. Fans imagined a thunder and lightning duo, the perfect complement of McLaurin's precision and Samuel's physicality, a 1-2 punch that was going to terrorize defenses all year long. But here we are, and reality has been very, very different. Terry McLaurin has barely seen the field due to injuries. Jaden Daniels has played only 6 games and is now recovering from a dislocated elbow, on top of multiple earlier injuries. The offense has been unstable, inconsistent, and constantly rearranged. And that brings us to Debo Samuel, the one constant through all the chaos.
Despite early criticisms about his conditioning and durability after the trade, Debo has stepped up. He's been available, he's been productive, and he has carried the wide receiver room through one of the roughest stretches of the season. But according to Ryan Shee of Sports Illustrated, Debo's reliability stops at the stat sheet because so many factors around him, from quarterback instability to offensive identity issues, have made him unpredictable from week to week. And that leads us directly into a much bigger problem, one with a name Commanders fans know all too well: Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury arrived in Washington as the offensive mastermind whose partnership with Jaden Daniels helped take this team to the NFC Championship game. His creativity, his aggressiveness, his QB-friendly schemes all played a massive role in Daniels' unbelievable rookie season. And because of that, he became one of the hottest names in last year's coaching carousel. The Jaguars wanted to interview him, the Saints showed heavy interest, but Kingsbury stayed. He said Washington felt right, and he didn't want to abandon the relationships he had developed with Daniels and head coach Dan Quinn. Fans loved it, the front office loved it, the players loved it. But now, one respected NFL insider is hinting at something different. Kingsbury might not be as coveted in the next coaching cycle as many expected. Why? Because despite the talent, despite the weapons, despite the scheme, Washington's offense hasn't had a true identity this year. Some analysts believe Kingsbury's system has become too reliant on big play moments instead of sustainable structure. Others think losing Daniels exposed how fragile the scheme really is. And here's where Debo Samuel enters the conversation again, because part of redefining his role will require answering a major question. What exactly is this offense supposed to be? Debo Samuel is not a traditional wide receiver. He's not just a slot guy, he's not an outside X, he's not just a gadget piece, he's not a pure deep threat. He's a hybrid, a physical weapon who thrives on rhythm, timing, and creative usage. And that's where the challenge lies. Without Jaden Daniels' mobility and improvisation, without McLaurin drawing coverage away, without a stable offensive identity, Debo is being forced into roles that don't maximize what he does best. Right now, he's Washington's wide receiver 1, safety blanket, slot mismatch, short yardage option, yak specialist, occasional ball carrier, and emotional spark plug. That's too much responsibility placed on one player in an offense still searching for structure. And analysts are warning, if the Commanders want to unlock Debo's full potential, they must rebuild the offense around clarity, not improvisation. That means Kingsbury redefining the scheme, Daniels returning fully healthy, McLaurin returning to form, and the offensive line playing consistently enough to let the playmakers operate freely. Until then, Debo is doing everything he can, but he's doing it inside an offense that is still figuring out what it wants to be. This isn't really about fantasy football. This isn't about stats. This isn't even about Debo Samuel. This is about the Commanders facing a crossroads. Do they double down on the Kingsbury-Daniels partnership and reshape the offense around them? Or do they admit that the system needs fundamental changes? Changes that could shift how every playmaker, including Debo, is used. Because right now, Debo is proving he can be a foundational piece. But the challenge, the colossal challenge, is figuring out how to use him correctly in a shifting, uncertain offense. Washington has the talent. Washington has the coaching. Washington has the potential. But potential doesn't win games. Identity does. And that identity is still being built. This bye week wasn't quiet. It wasn't a vacation. It wasn't a pause. It was preparation. It was restructuring. It was the start of the final chapter of the 2025 season. So I want to hear from you. What do you think about the roster moves? Bringing back Jacoby Jones, letting go of Worley, and preparing for Harris and Jackson to return. And second, do you want Jaden Daniels to play again this season, or should Washington shut him down? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your opinions drive this community. If you enjoyed this video, if you love Commanders coverage, and if you want more breaking news, rumors, and analysis, hit like, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next one. Hail to the Commanders.